Hi, and welcome to the NFL Fan Forum. My name is Art, aka the Sea Cow, and this is my sidekick John, aka the Cowlick.
What's up?
Today we're going to be talking about the situation dealing with the Denver Broncos going into the offseason and the Seattle Seahawks, who won the NFC West title this last weekend and are heading into the playoffs. Thank you for joining us. But first, our play of the day.
Here. Got to snap some momentum back.
Raiders rush two, and Judy with the catch on the run at the 30, and across midfield. A burst from Jerry Judy, and he will take it the distance. Wow. Touchdown Denver, 92 yards.
First, let's talk about the Broncos. Head coach Vic Fangio has to be disappointed with this 5-10 season thus far. The offense had a few moments of success, but there was also a lot of growing pains for the young players, such as quarterback Drew Lock and wide receivers Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. Do you think this offense needs to stay together for next year, or do you think there's a need for major changes this offseason?
I mean, there's going to be quite a few changes. That is, if John Elway wants to do it. We could keep Vic Fangio. We could get rid of him. We could keep Pat Shurmur. We could get rid of him. We could get rid of Drew Lock and replace him with a veteran QB or from the draft. If we were to do that, then I would want to get one from the draft. So we might have changes for quarterback, head coach, OC, but you never know. This offseason, we are going to have a lot of major changes. And throughout this season, Drew Lock did have some growing pains, but it's just that he's been up and down lately. And he so far does and doesn't look like the guy. So if we brought in a veteran, maybe he can sit behind him and have the veteran QB give him tips on how to succeed. But if we replace Pat Shurmur with somebody else, it's a risky move, but if our new OC can change Drew Lock's play style and make him a better QB, then heck, an amazing decision by John Elway and Vic Fangio. But if we do that, then most likely he's probably not going to succeed because he hasn't had a offensive coordinator for back-to-back years since his sophomore year in college. So I find that very interesting, but, I don't know what John Elway will do this offseason, but he has to do something, and I'm really ready to see what he does.
So if the Broncos do decide to go for a new quarterback this offseason, who in the first round do you think they should go for?
They should go for Trevor Lawrence, 100%. But what are the likelihoods of that? Very, very unlikely. But if the Jaguars don't go QB and the Jets don't go QB, then we might have a chance to get him, but there's still doubt that we might not get him. But if we can get Zach Wilson, that'd be a big steal for us. I'd be super happy because Zach Wilson actually plays kind of similar to Drew Lock, but he actually plays better and he makes smarter decisions, and he has a lot of talent. He is mobile like Drew Lock. He has a heck of an arm, just like Drew Lock. Justin Fields, not really, because looking at what Dwayne Haskins did, I'm a little bit worried about what Justin Fields brings to the table. Then there's Trey Lance, who's also pretty good. We could go for him. I won't complain if we do go for him. And Kyle Trask and Mac Jones are they're okay quarterbacks into this year's draft. But if we could either get Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, or Trevor Lawrence, I am a happy man.
Head coach Vic Fangio is only in his second season with you as a head coach, but do you think he's the guy for the future of this team?
I mean, I'm not really the one to speculate. Ask John Elway. John Elway is the general manager, and he'll decide by the end of the season, on Monday after the Raiders game, to see if Vic Fangio gets fired or not. If he makes it past Black Monday, then wow, Vic Fangio is going to stay with Denver for one more year. And if he doesn't succeed next year with us, then we got to get rid of him. We just have to. And Vic Fangio, he's not the best head coach, so I wouldn't be surprised if we keep him. But then again, if we keep him, I wouldn't be surprised if we keep him. But if we choose to fire him, who are we going to go for head coach? I'm thinking like 49ers defensive coach. I can't remember his name, but...
Yeah, Robert Saleh.
Yeah, Robert Saleh. We could go for him if we do get rid of Vic Fangio, because he is like probably the best coach we can go for as a head coach in this during this offseason.
What about Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy? He's a former Colorado Buffalo.
Yeah, that's true, but is he a good head coach is the question. He's never been a head coach. Like Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio has never been a head coach until now, and you see what the problems he's having. He's having problems using timeouts. He has problems with time management. So I don't know about the Chiefs offensive coordinator. He could come to us, but if he was to come to us, I won't complain, but we have to put him at offensive coordinator, because offensive coordinator is the safe bet. He's an amazing OC, but as a head coach, I'm not really sure.
So moving over to the defensive side, your defense played fairly well this year in most games. They did pretty well. But do you see changes needed in the offseason there?
There's going to be quite a bit. The thing is, our defense did play well all up until injuries hit us, which is not good. We lost Von Miller, we lost Mike Purcell, we lost AJ Bouye, but he got suspended, so that one doesn't count. Then we lost Bryce Callahan, we lost Kevin Tolliver, who wasn't really much of a difference maker. Oh yeah, and Jarrell Casey. But Jarrell Casey might leave this offseason because we have Shelby Harris. He's doing spectacular, so we might get Jarrell Casey. That's going to change. What else is going to change? Linebackers. I don't see linebackers changing that much because everyone's saying, oh, you need a new linebacker. Von Miller's going to retire after this season. That might be true, but he might want to play for one more year with the Broncos. Bradley Chubb, he's easily going to stay here. But if Von Miller was to retire, we have Malik Reed. We have Jeremiah Tachu, who are looking outstanding, and nobody has recognized that. So I don't see any changes for linebacker. Also, Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson actually look very promising. Once they get a little bit more training in this offseason, they're going to be outstanding linebackers. And I have a feeling we're not going to be needing any linebackers anytime soon. Safeties, we might get rid of Kareem Jackson. Kareem Jackson is actually pretty good. He is a heat-seeking missile, let me say that. But in coverage, he's not the best. So he might retire after this season. We might get rid of him. We might keep him. But if we do keep him, we're gonna have to give him a little bit of an extension. But Justin Simmons, he's gonna get a big contract. He has to. If Kareem Jackson gets more money than Justin Simmons, I'd be shocked. Justin Simmons needs a contract right now because Justin Simmons actually looks amazing. He has a lot of interceptions. He's been doing pretty good in coverage, and he's good at tackling running backs and wide receivers. So Justin Simmons, we're easily going to keep. Kareem Jackson, he might retire, but we might get rid of him, or he might stay. And then lastly, corners. Corners are not looking good. They're really, really not looking good. We have Bryce Callahan. We do have AJ Bouye, but we're going to get rid of AJ Bouye because he hasn't been looking well. Bryce Callahan has been looking amazing. He's been looking like a Pro Bowler. He could have been a Pro Bowler, but sadly he got injured. So that took a toll on his Pro Bowl season. So we're going to keep Bryce Callahan as long as he can stay healthy. AJ Bouye, we're going to get rid of him. Michael Ojemudia, he might actually be a backup for us. I know he's a rookie, but he might be a backup, and he might need a little bit more training to be a corner, just like Chris Harris, maybe. So he's going to need more training. So, yeah, we're definitely going to have to go corner. Now let's talk about the Seahawks. Pete Carroll and company are coming off a 20-9 win over the rival Rams. This win clinched the NFC West division title. Now they are looking to finish the season at 12-4. with a win against the division rival San Francisco 49ers. What is the goal of this team going into the last game of the season?
So the goal is, according to Pete Carroll, and I agree with this, I was talking about this with a couple friends, is that we need to stay on point, stay competitive, not let up on the gas, and just keep this consistency going and this positive attitude of going into games with the head of steam. And I think that's a perfect attitude for the end of this season. Now that we just clinched the NFC West, we don't want to let up on the gas. We want to keep pushing. And I think that's a great way to motivate the team bouncing into the playoffs here very soon in the next 2 weeks. And so I think this is a great idea. I think Pete Carroll is right on point with that. And I think there's some things that need to be cleaned up anyways. And there's also some personal things for this, because there's some statistical achievements that could be made in this game coming up, such as Russell Wilson reaching 40 touchdowns possibly. He only needs 2 in this game. Only 14 other quarterbacks have ever done that, so that would be a huge achievement. DK Metcalf could reach the all-time Seahawks receiving record for a season this year, and he only needs 7 yards to do it, so that'd be huge. And Tyler Lockett, if he gets another 35 yards receiving, he could join DK as another 1,000-yard receiver. We've only done that once, and that was back in 2003. So there's quite a few, team achievements that could be something very, memorable about this season, along with going into the playoffs with a lot of momentum and a lot of achievement to be proud of. So yes, there's a lot of things to play for in this last game of the year.
Speaking of the offense, what needs to improve for this group to be ready for the playoffs run?
You know what needs to improve is I think that Russell Wilson needs to get more of his mojo back. This last game, the second half, he started to look a little bit like his old self more. Excuse me. And that's a good encouraging sign. He got 2 touchdowns, 1 passing, 1 running in the second half, which was a huge deal to win the game. But I think that a continued improvement in his mojo from earlier this year, not being afraid to pull the trigger, going deep sometimes, keep the defenses honest. And then when he gets the chance to run, he just needs to do it. That's another achievement that he can make, is he would be the 3rd quarterback ever to have 500-plus rushing yards in 4 seasons as a quarterback. He only needs, I believe, 8 yards for that or something really small. But anyways, yeah, I think that's a huge need for the improvement on the offense. I think DK Metcalf is going to have to continue to catch the ball, first of all, and make better separation from corners. So that'll have to help, make the receiving core better. Tyler Lockett is going to have to be big for this playoff run. He really is. Both those guys together are going to have to do really well to make a good playoff run. And then the running game, I'm so happy that Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde are healthy. The end of last year was an absolute disaster when Chris Carson and Rashad Penny went down with injury, and we went into the playoffs picking up a Marshawn Lynch to help pick up the slack, and it was noticeable. It wasn't as good of a running game, and it cost us. So I'm excited that they're healthy. I'm glad Rashad Penny is starting to get back into the swing of things after his long offseason from being injured. And so I'm really excited about the running game here. And the offensive line, they've been doing well protecting Russell Wilson. This last weekend, of course, the Rams have a really good pass rush. That doesn't surprise me. But Brandon Shell needs to get healthy on the right tackle spot for this playoff run. And the rest of the guys just have to continue to stay healthy as well and stay cohesive. And I think we have a good offensive team to be able to push in the playoffs. Brian Schottenheimer has done well this year as an OC. He's going to have to continue to call good play calls to trick the defenses and keep them honest and come up with some new wrinkles. Then we can see about a good playoff push. And I really think this team is capable of competing with the Green Bays and the New Orleans Saints. of the world. And so we'll see what happens. Again, playoff seeding's coming up as well in this game, coming up with San Francisco. There's a slim possibility of even getting the number 1 seed, but I'm not really seeing Green Bay losing at Chicago. I think they're very motivated to win the number 1 seed, so they'll play really well. The Saints are going to have a difficult time losing at Carolina. So again, if there's a miracle in the offing for one of those two to lose, we could possibly get this number 2 seed, maybe even the number 1 seed. We just got to continue our momentum and worry about ourselves and beat the San Francisco 49ers this week.
The defense, led by safety Jamal Adams, has really turned into a strong unit in the last 7 games. Is this group for real?
I'm beginning to think they are for real. They've had this talent most of the year, except Carlos Dunlap and a couple others. But mostly these guys have been there this year, except for some injuries. When we lost linebacker Bruce Irvin at defensive end spot, that really flipped us for a loop trying to get sacks on the quarterback earlier this year, and that hurt. But thankfully the offense picked up the slack and kept us undefeated, thankfully. But when we lost him, I was really concerned because we weren't getting any pressure on the quarterback first 8 weeks. It was horrible. It was like 8 games with like 12 sacks. It was really horrible. And then all of a sudden Carlos Dunlap comes over and Jamal Adams gets healthy. It's been night and day difference. We're now at 43 sacks, which is, I believe, number 6 in the league. That's quite a lot better than before. Also, this defense is showing a penchant for getting some turnovers, which is, again, a Pete Carroll trait. And we need to keep doing that because the playoffs, any kind of advantage you can get, obviously, to get points, comes with getting some turnovers. And I think that with Quandre Diggs leading the way with 5 interceptions, he's doing great. I wish Jamal Adams' hands would get a little healthier so he could catch some of the ones thrown his way. But we'll see what happens on that end. As for the linebackers, I know Bobby's a little older. KJ Wright's a little older. They're not the best as they used to be, but they still have that experience, and they're still putting people in the right position. And now they're starting to play a lot better. This is a really, really talented group that now is showing that they can play really well. Holding teams to just over 15 points a game in the last 7 games is a great feat, but it needs to continue because we know what's coming in the playoffs. We know there's some really good offensive teams in the playoffs, and we're going to need to continue to play this at this level and give Russell Wilson the chance to be able to beat those teams with a good offense as well. So, yeah, this defense is, I believe, a for real group right now, and they've made that change. So I'm excited for that.
So who do you think the Seahawks will play in the first round of the playoffs?
It's going to be one of 3 teams if we don't snag the number 1 seed, which is a very slim chance that Green Bay loses and New Orleans loses, and we win, of course. If that were to happen, that would be a spectacular answer. I'd be totally excited about that. But I'm not planning for that to happen. Therefore, there will be 3 teams that we would play. Most likely, it'll be the Los Angeles Rams, but there's a caveat here. Jared Goff probably won't play this weekend because of his thumb injury against Arizona. And Arizona should be pretty well healthy to fight for a playoff spot. If Arizona beats the Rams, then they move ahead of them because of division record. And the Rams may slip to the 7 seed. And if the New Orleans Saints get the 2 seed, they'd face the Rams. And we would face the Cardinals in the first round. If the Bears somehow pull off a miracle and beat Green Bay and the Rams lose, then the Rams are out. And who'd have thought that? They looked like a lock for the playoffs, and that would be like the worst scenario for them. And then the Cardinals make it in. And so if that were the case and we beat San Francisco, well then, and New Orleans wins, then we would be the number 2 seed. And we would face the Cardinals. So out of all those teams, I really think that we would play well against all of them. I think there'll be tough competitive games, of course, in any case. But at home, I think we could beat any of those 3 teams. Who would I prefer to play? It's hard to say. I would love to see a rematch with the Rams again and then just beat them one more time. But we'll see. So I think that we could play well against all three of those teams. And I'm looking forward to that first game. So that'll do it for our show today. Tell us what you think in the comments section below. Be sure to destroy that like button and subscribe to our channel. By the way, don't forget to turn on that notification bell so that you'll be notified when we post a new video. Thank you for joining us. This is Art
And John.
signing off.